Hello there sports fans, today we're going to be learning Blood Bowl, a tactical and violent game of fantasy football. Now Blood Bowl is a game that's been around for a long time with a dedicated fan following, but it has recently been repackaged and remastered into a form that retains what players love about the game, while making it even easier to pick up. Now, if you're familiar with rugby or American football, you'll be familiar with the basic premise. Score as many touchdowns as possible by getting one of your players to bring the ball to the opponent's end zone by passing, intercepting, running and tackling, which is pretty standard fare. But in Blood Bowl, the violence is taken to the extreme. Your players can literally beat each other to death. In fact, some teams' primary tactic is to injure or kill off the opposing team so that there's no resistance to scoring touchdowns later in the game. Now, there are loads of teams, each with different tactics and ways to play, so let's take a quick look at how to play Blood Bowl. For today, you'll be playing the Black Ox team, the Thunder Valley Greenskins, and I'll be playing the Imperial Nobility team, the Bokenhafen Barons. Now, these are brand new from the Blood Bowl second season box, which is why we haven't really had time to paint them up, but you can get these installed by purchasing a box. Also, there are usually 11 players per side, but we'll keep things simple for today and only use a few players. Oh, and another thing, usually in these games we refer to each other as players. I'm a player, you're a player, but in Blood Bowl, these guys are players, and we refer to each other as coaches. So coach, let's get on with the game. Now, usually we flip a coin and the winner gets to decide whether to play offense or defense. If I play offense, it means that you will kick off the ball into my half of the field. Then I'll try to make my way through your guys to score a touchdown. Playing defense means I will kick off the ball into your half and then you will try to score a touchdown. But for today, I'll be choosing offense, so you go ahead and kick off. Now, when kicking off, the ball will attempt to land in a target square, for example this one. But because it is such a weird shape, it will deviate from its intended position. So what we do is we take this handy dandy little template and we put it over the target square. What we do next is we roll a d8 and a d6. The d8 will determine direction and d6 will determine the distance. So the direction is 8, which corresponds to this direction, and then it will deviate by 3 squares. So 1, 2, 3. We'll place the ball there, and that's that. It's worth noting that if the ball ever flies off the field during a kickoff, that's considered a touchback, and I can immediately give the ball to one of my guys, making my job a little easier when trying to do a touchdown. Let's begin the first turn. While it might be tempting for me to have my player run over and pick it up straight away, there's a rule in Blood Bowl called the turnover. Now to keep it short, if my player fumbles and drops the ball, trips over, or in any way messes up on my turn immediately ends and it goes to you. So I might want to keep my risky maneuvers for later in the turn. And picking up the ball is considered a risky maneuver in Blood Bowl. What I will try to do right now is I'll try to get my guys into better positions so maybe they can try to catch the ball and then make a run for your end zone, score a touchdown. Let's take a look at some stats. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, but basically just look at his MA, which says 6. So he can move 6 spaces. Now diagonals are considered as 1 space, so let's try to move him 6 spaces into a good position to receive the ball. Now let's get my Imperial thrower to try to pick up the ball. Now let's move him 3 spaces to the space of the ball and have him try to pick up the ball. Now in order to pick up the ball, he needs to pass an agility test. So looking at his stats, it says AG3+. So he's gonna need to roll a 3 or higher on a d6. So let's give the d6 a roll. Just nice. So he's still got a little bit of movement left, so let's move him into a nicer position to pass. So now we'll try to make a pass. In order to make a pass, we first need to see the distance. We've got this little template over here that helps us to measure the distance between the two players. So we place this little part over the square where the pass originates from, and then we measure the distance. Now we can see that this is just beyond the reach of the second region, so let's talk a little bit about the regions. Now the 4 pass lengths are as follows: quick pass, short pass, long pass, and long bomb, all with increasing difficulty. Now let's try and make a pass. Now the thrower's passing skill, or PA, is a 3+. So we need to roll a 3 or higher to pass the test. Additionally, I have to apply a negative modifier to the result if the distance is beyond the quick pass. So short pass is -1, long pass is -2, and long bomb is -3. So his passing ability is a 3+, but because the range is a long pass, we have to -2. So actually we need to roll a 5 or higher. Let's see how we do. Okay, that's pretty bad. Yeah, so he rolled a natural 1 and he fumbles the ball. So what happens when he fumbles it? Basically he drops the ball and the ball bounces to an adjacent square. So we'll take our little template and roll a d8 again. So let's try that out. Put the template there, roll a d8, it's a 4. So it bounces to the square over there. So the ball goes here. And it's a turnover, and it's your turn. Now, humans are basically general all-rounders in the game of Blood Bowl, and basically every fantasy RPG, but orcs are much better at beating their opponents to a pulp. So go ahead, try and beat me to a pulp. Your black orc is going to take a blitz action. Basically, he can move and block in the same activation. Now, while quite powerful, this can only be done once a turn, so let's go ahead and try to use it. So your orc is going to move a few spaces closer, and then make a block action. Now when a player makes a block action, we use these special dice called block dice. Now we have to compare the strength characteristic of the attacker and the defender, and then that will tell us how many dice we actually have to roll. If the strengths are the same, we roll 1 die. If one is more than the other, we roll 2. If one is double or more than the other, we roll 3. After rolling the dice, the coach of the stronger player decides which to take effect. Okay, your black orc has a strength of 4 and my linesman has 3. So you'll roll 2 dice and then you'll choose the result. Now let's take a look at the possible results on the block dice in detail. Now this is the player down result. This is the worst outcome. The attacker is knocked down. You slip on a banana peel or you punch yourself in the face on accident or something. This usually leads to a turnover. Next, the both down result. The players both end up getting knocked down and usually results in a turnover. But if either player has the block skill, they may choose to ignore the result and not be knocked down. If both have the block skill, then they just slap each other and nothing really happens. Now the pushback, there are 2 of these. Now this shoves the defending player backwards 1 space into one of the 3 squares behind. The attacker can then follow up into the now empty space or remain where they are. This result is useful for breaking defensive lines or clearing space, but that's not what you want right now. You're out for blood. Then this is the stumble result. If the defending player has the dodge skill, this just becomes a pushback. If it doesn't, then this becomes a pow. In either case, the attacking player can follow up into the empty space. Now, pow, this one is the best result. The target takes a huge hit and is knocked down flat on the ground. Okay, so go ahead and roll 2 dice. And choose the one that results in me being knocked down. It's the power. Very nice. So now you can choose one of these 3 to knock me into. Let's choose that one. And you can follow me or stay. Okay, you can follow. Just keep harassing me. Now whenever a player falls over or is knocked down, the opponent's team's coach needs to make an armor roll to see if the player becomes injured. So we roll 2d6 and then compare it to the armor. Okay, you didn't roll an 8 or higher, so my guy is fine. He's just laying on his back and he can get up next turn by just using some of his movement. Anyway, before we continue the punching, we need a quick aside about tackle zones. Each player that's standing has a tackle zone, the squares directly adjacent and around him. If a player is in another player's tackle zone, the player is considered to be marked. Simple enough. Now, when making a block action and there are teammates nearby, those teammates are able to make an offensive assist. Basically, if the target of your attack is marked by another friendly player, this adds 1 to your strength for that block. This doesn't work, however, if your teammate assisting you is marked by another enemy player, one who isn't the current target. In this case, let's say your orc wants to attack this blitzer. The troll standing beside him gives an offensive assist for +1 strength, but it's negated because the troll is being marked by the ogre. Now this also works when you're defending against a block too. Okay, after all that talk, your orc is still at 4 strength and my blitzer is at 3 strength. but you will see why all these tackle zone stuff matters in a little while. So go ahead, roll 2 block dice since your player is stronger than mine, and one of the options is a pushback. So I suggest you pick the pushback and not the follow up, just stay where you are. So now your orc is no longer marked by my blitzer, which allows him to give the troll an offensive assist when attacking my ogre. Now this is pretty vital as both the ogre and troll are at 5 strength, but then this assist makes the troll 6 strength, meaning he'll get the additional dice when making a block on the ogre, essentially doubling his chances of knocking down the ogre. I'm not sure if it's doubling, but I'm not great with math, but it definitely matters. The additional dice matters. Alright, so my ogre is down, and you can follow up and keep harassing him. You've still got an orc there, might as well take care of my lineman. And it's a stumble and a both down. Both down will be pretty bad, so choose the stumble since my linesman does not have dodge, and knock him down and follow him up. Oh, what's this? Your goblin wants to come over and kick the ogre while it's down? Is that even legal? Well, it isn't, but that's not gonna stop your goblin. Better hope the referee doesn't see it, if not you're gonna get sent off. Good thing that referees in Blood Bowl are blind as bats, as opposed to normal referees which are, Well, anyway, your goblin's gonna skip 6 spaces over here. To make a foul action, make an armor roll as per normal, but add 1 for each offensive assist. So instead of having to roll 10 on 2d6, you only need to roll 8 in order to break his armor. Also, if you happen to roll doubles, your goblin will be sent off. Good luck. Oh sweet. Now let's see what fate has in store for the ogre. We rolled 5, so he's stunned. Now there's a whole complex table of injuries and even death, but we won't get into that for today. Now it seems like another of your goblins actually might be within reach of the ball, but you'll have to do a bit of acrobatics to get there. Now whenever a player moves and they're inside another player's tackle zone, they have to make a dodge, which is just an agility test. Let's try that now. He passes because his agility is 3+. Now he's moving out, but he started in the tackle zone, so he passes again. Now players are able to push themselves and sprint further than their movement allowance, but for each time they do this, they have to roll a d6 and roll higher than 1, otherwise they fall flat and risk a turnover. Also, each player can only do this twice in an activation. Now Mr. Goblin's gonna try to pick up the ball, and wow, a 6, he definitely makes it. What a lad. Now you've activated all your players for the turn, so time to pass it to me. I'll stand up some of my players who are currently lying on the ground, and then I'll try to block your goblin with my lineman in order to make him block the ball, but it's only a pushback. So I'm gonna push him there. I don't want him to go closer to the end zone. Now, we're gonna have my ogre try to make a blitz action, but he has to dodge. Let's try to get him to dodge. No, that's not enough. He falls flat, and it's a turnover. So it's your turn, and I think the play here is pretty obvious. Although you really should be doing some safer actions first, this video has dragged on for a little bit too long, so get Mr. Goblin into the end zone and score a touchdown. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he has to dodge first. He makes the dodge. Now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, rushing once, he makes it. Rushing to the end zone, will he make it? Freaking fantastic! It's a 6. Time to celebrate. Touchdown! Okay, calm down. Back to us. Relax. So yep, that's a touchdown. Now the next drive starts with the scoring team kicking off to his opponent, and then the game goes on. After each team has taken 8 turns each, we go to halftime, and then each team takes 8 more turns, and then the winner is the team with the most touchdowns, and that's basically Blood Bowl. Now we still haven't even covered intercepting, pushing enemies into the crowds, even throwing or kicking your teammate across the field. There's also a whole league system where your players can gain skills, improve themselves, get cheerleaders, pay for bribes, and more. But if you're interested in that, come on down to Gamersaurus Rex and grab a copy of the Blood Bowl 2nd season set to really experience it for yourself. Now this has been Gerard, and I'll see you in the next video.